Hi everyone, and welcome back in part 3 of this section, the primitive data types, integers. So now after seeing the classification of primitive data types into 4 categories, which are integers, floating points or fractions, boolean, and character. Now let's make a closer look at each category, and let's start with the primitive data type integers. In order to store your $1 million balance inside and save it from robbers. Okay. Integers data types are simply like boxes, but boxes to store numbers only. But as we have said, it's clear that the box to store huge numbers like million will be different from that holds 100. So Java integral data types or say boxes comes in different sizes. The smallest size is byte that could hold the range of numbers from -128 up to 127. Then we have short data type that can hold numbers with a bit wider range. Then we have int data type or also called integer that can hold a more range of numbers. And finally long, it can hold very huge range of numbers. Okay, but although you can't store large numbers into boxes or data types that only hold small numbers, but the opposite is true. You could put small values in large data types or boxes. But that is not wise. However, there is an exception, where the int data type is the most commonly used data type to store integer numbers. Even you wanted to store small values as 1 or 20 or 100. Due to some reasons we don't have to care about for now, but all we have to know, the most used data type for integers is the int or integer data type, as long as the value can fit inside the int data type, even it is much small. But if there is a huge number that exceeds the int data type upper limit, so it will be stored in long data type. So if we have those values and want to store them in variables, which 1, 15, 1 million and 1 trillion. So first, the number 1. Although the number 1 can fit inside the small box like byte, but we will store that value 1 in the integer box or integer data type. And the same for the value 15. And for the value 1 million, since we can see the integer data type or box has upper limit about 2 billions, so also the value 1 million will fit inside the integer data type or box. But for the value trillion, it cannot fit inside the integer box, since its value is much more than the integer data type upper limit. So for that value, we will store it inside a long data type or box. And make sure to end the number with the letter L, either in uppercase or lowercase, to inform Java that it is a number of type long. So now we could deal with your balance value from the previous videos and store it in integer data type. So back to your balance, now we could store it in a variable, and since the number 2 millions is within the range of the int or integer data type, which has upper limit about 2 billions, so the suitable box or data type here is the int. So remember the format of defining a variable. We have first data type, then variable name, then equals to the value. And here we only have the variable name and the variable value. And here we missed the variable data type. So let's proceed that variable name with the variable data type. So let's say int for integer. And now we can see the variable name changes from red. So now it's valid. And now we have the format, which is data type space variable name and equals to the value. And now if you print the value of that variable name, it must print the value 2 millions. So let's run the program. And now we could see the program prints the value of the variable mybalance, which is 2 millions. Okay. And now if we change the value of that variable to be 5 millions instead of 2, so let's change 2 to be 5. We first have to check if that value is still within the range of the integer data type. And since this value is 5 millions and the upper limit of the integer data type is 2 billions, so it still can fit inside. So now if we run the program, the value of that variable name here must be changed also. So now let's run the program. And yes, now the value is updated to be 5 millions instead of 2. Okay, but if your balance changes again to be 1 trillion instead of 5 millions. So 1 trillion will be 1 with 12 zeros beside. So will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now we can see the red line under the number. That's because that value is too large to fit inside that box or data type. And now we need a bigger box or data type to store that value that now cannot fit inside that box or data type. But let's try to run the program and see what happens if we don't change the data types. Hit run. And yeah, we get an error, which is integer number too large, where now Java consider that number is integer since we wanted to store it inside an integer box or data type. So now we wanted to tell Java that number is not integer, it is long. So we have to put the letter L at the end of that number, either uppercase or lowercase, does not matter. And now since this number is long, so we must store that in a long data type or box. So let's change that to be long instead of int. And now we can see the red line is gone. And now if we run the program, so now it prints the value trillion without any error. Okay, so far so good. And that's all about the primitive data types of type integer.